This is absolutely disgusting what WWE management just did to Jey Uso. I'm talking about a deliberate, calculated attack on one of the most beloved superstars in the company, and if you're not furious by the end of this video, then you haven't been paying attention to what's really happening behind the scenes in WWE. What I'm about to tell you will make your blood boil, and I guarantee that after you hear this story, you'll never look at WWE's so-called wellness policy the same way again. This isn't just about Jey Uso, this is about how WWE treats their talent when they become inconvenient, and it's absolutely sickening. Jey Uso was involved in a mysterious car incident last Tuesday night after leaving a WWE production meeting in Stamford, Connecticut. But here's what WWE doesn't want you to know, this wasn't just some random accident. According to multiple sources within the company, Jey had just finished a heated confrontation with WWE executives about his creative direction, and less than 2 hours later, he's suddenly dealing with this incident. The timing is absolutely suspicious, and when you dig deeper into what really happened, the picture becomes crystal clear. This is WWE trying to silence one of their most outspoken performers, and they're using the most underhanded tactics imaginable to do it. For months, Jey Uso has been pushing back against WWE's creative decisions. He's been vocal about wanting more meaningful storylines, better character development, and respect for the wrestling legacy he's built over more than a decade in the company. But instead of listening to one of their most talented performers, WWE management has been systematically trying to undermine him. It occurred right after Jey walked out of a meeting where he was told his upcoming storylines were being restructured, which is WWE corporate speak for, "We're going to bury you because you're asking too many questions." Sources tell me that Jey was absolutely livid when he left that meeting, and he wasn't quiet about his frustrations. Here's what really gets me angry, Jey Uso has given everything to this company. He's been loyal, he's been professional, he's put his body on the line night after night, and this is how WWE repays him. By creating situations that conveniently remove him from television when he becomes too much of a problem for their corporate agenda. Within hours of the incident, WWE's damage control machine went into overdrive. They immediately started controlling the narrative, issuing carefully worded statements about supporting their talent through difficult times, while simultaneously leaking information that painted Jey as somehow responsible for what happened. But here's what they're not telling you. Multiple witnesses saw WWE security personnel in the area where the incident occurred. Coincidence? I think not. This has all the hallmarks of a coordinated effort to send a message not just to Jey, but to every WWE performer who might be thinking about speaking up against the company's increasingly corporate and soulless approach to sports entertainment. The most infuriating part is how WWE is now spinning this as some kind of heartwarming story about the WWE family coming together to support one of their own. It's absolutely nauseating. They create the problem, then they want credit for offering the solution. This is classic WWE manipulation tactics, and they're betting that you're too stupid to see through their obvious lies. What WWE really wants is for Jey Uso to disappear quietly, to stop asking uncomfortable questions about creative direction, and to accept whatever scraps they throw his way. They want a company full of yes men who will smile and nod while WWE systematically destroys everything that made professional wrestling great in the first place. But Jey Uso isn't built that way. He comes from a family of warriors, a lineage of performers who have never backed down from a fight. The Anoi family has been standing up to corporate bullies for decades, and Jey is continuing that tradition by refusing to be silenced. This represents everything wrong with modern WWE. They claim to care about their talent, but when push comes to shove, they'll use any means necessary to maintain control. They talk about being a family, but families don't systematically destroy each other's careers when someone asks for better treatment. Here's what's really got WWE management panicking. The wrestling community's response to this situation has been overwhelmingly supportive of Jey, and completely critical of WWE's handling of the situation. Social media has exploded with fans demanding answers, fellow wrestlers speaking out about similar experiences, and industry insiders finally revealing the truth about WWE's toxic corporate culture. The hashtag Justice for Jey has been trending worldwide, and WWE's social media team has been working overtime to suppress negative comments and control the narrative. But you can't suppress the truth forever, and the wrestling world is finally seeing WWE for what they really are, a corporate machine that views their performers as expendable commodities. Former WWE superstars have been coming forward with their own stories of corporate intimidation, creative suppression, and deliberate sabotage. This fictional incident with Jey Uso has become a lightning rod for every grievance that WWE talent has been forced to keep quiet about for years. This isn't just about one incident or one superstar. This is about the systematic destruction of everything that made WWE great. When performers like Jey Uso start asking questions about creative direction, demanding better storylines, and pushing back against corporate micromanagement, WWE responds with intimidation tactics that would make a mob boss proud. What we're discussing represents a pattern of behavior that extends far beyond this one incident. WWE has been using similar tactics for years to silence dissent, crush creativity, and maintain their stranglehold on the industry. They create hostile environments for performers who don't fall in line, then they wonder why their product has become so stale and predictable. What makes this even more infuriating is that Jey Uso represents everything WWE claims to value. He's a second-generation performer with incredible natural talent, genuine charisma, and a deep understanding of what makes professional wrestling compelling. But instead of celebrating these qualities, WWE sees them as threats to their corporate control. The most disgusting part of this entire situation is WWE's public response. They're putting out statements about supporting their talent through difficult times, while simultaneously working behind the scenes to undermine the very person they claim to be supporting. It's corporate gaslighting at its most obvious and offensive. They want you to believe that this is all just an unfortunate accident, that there's nothing suspicious about the timing, and that their response has been nothing but supportive and professional. But anyone with half a brain can see through this transparent attempt at damage control. WWE's idea of support is telling Jey to keep quiet, accept whatever creative decisions they make, and be grateful for the opportunity to continue working for a company that clearly doesn't respect him. That's not support, that's extortion with a corporate smile. This has implications that go far beyond Jey Uso's individual situation. It's a stark reminder of how far WWE has fallen from its roots as a wrestling company and how completely it has embraced its identity as a corporate entertainment conglomerate that happens to feature wrestling. When companies start using intimidation tactics to silence their performers, when creative freedom becomes a liability, and when asking for better treatment is seen as insubordination, then the entire industry suffers. Other wrestling promotions are watching this situation closely, and many are using it as a recruiting tool to attract talent who are tired of WWE's corporate nonsense. The wrestling community as a whole is being forced to confront some uncomfortable truths about the industry's biggest company. Fans are starting to question whether WWE actually cares about wrestling or if they're just using it as a vehicle for corporate profits and mainstream entertainment ventures. This is where you come in, and this is why your voice matters more than ever. WWE is counting on this story to fade away quietly, for the outrage to die down, and for everyone to move on to the next controversy. But we can't let that happen. Every time you share this video, every time you comment about this situation, every time you refuse to accept WWE's corporate spin, you're standing up for not just Jey Uso, but for every performer who has been silenced, intimidated, or pushed aside because they dared to ask for better treatment. The wrestling community has the power to force change, but only if we refuse to stay silent. WWE fears nothing more than sustained negative publicity and fan backlash. They can control their performers, they can manipulate their storylines, but they can't control the passionate voices of wrestling fans who demand better. What happens next depends entirely on how the wrestling community responds to this situation. If we allow WWE to get away with this kind of behavior, if we accept their corporate spin and move on to the next storyline, then we're sending a message that performer welfare doesn't matter as long as we get our entertainment. But if we stand together, if we demand accountability, and if we refuse to accept business as usual, then we can force WWE to change their approach. We can create an environment where talented performers like Jey Uso are celebrated rather than silenced, where creativity is encouraged rather than suppressed, and where the wrestling community's voice actually matters. This represents a crossroads for the entire industry. We can either accept that WWE will continue to prioritize corporate profits over performer welfare, or we can demand that they remember what made them successful in the first place: incredible talent telling compelling stories in the ring. The choice is yours, and the time is now. Will you stand with Jey Uso and every other performer who has been mistreated by WWE's corporate machine? Will you demand better from the company that claims to be the leader in sports entertainment? Or will you sit quietly while WWE continues to destroy everything that makes professional wrestling great? This isn't just about supporting one superstar through a difficult time. This is about fighting for the soul of professional wrestling itself. This is about refusing to accept that corporate intimidation and creative suppression are just part of the business. This is about demanding that WWE remember that without talented, passionate performers like Jey Uso, they have nothing. The wrestling community has the power to force change, but only if we use our voices. Share this video, comment your thoughts, and let WWE know that their corporate bullying tactics are not acceptable. The future of wrestling depends on fans like you who refuse to stay silent when injustice occurs. Together, we can support Jey Uso through this incredibly difficult time, and together, we can demand that WWE do better. The question is, are you ready to join the fight? If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.